Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to this community showdown. It's going to be the Ogre Kingdoms led by Hadries facing off against the Greenskins, who shall be helmed by Outer Region here on the edge of the Darkwood. Ooh, very spooky, very scary. Now, this is an interesting one. The Greenskins, of course, are considered one of the top 3 factions in the game, but apparently the Ogre Kingdoms have a decent chance against them, so very excited to kind of dive into this one. This was from one of our recent major tournaments, and hopefully you guys are ready to party as well. So, for the Ogre build, going to be using the dreaded pencil formation. Now, the reason why I use this formation, you often see it on Vampire counts and Ogre Kingdoms with Novelars, is because when your opponent attacks you with a superior unit, you're giving them less surface area to beat down, right? So their front line, which is going to be way better than yours, is going to be doing less damage than they would if you engage like straight on. Yes, you are going to be sacrificing a lot of damage yourself. Well, not a lot, but more. But ultimately for like crappy screening units, it's not a bad idea. So we got Ogre Bulls in the secondary on the flanks to defend. One of them is going to be an Iron Gut, and the epicenter of the build is going to be the Lead Belchers, which we have 3 of those, which I do like. Lead Belchers can pack a serious punch. I suppose they're there to shoot at the Orc War Boys and the things that can threaten the Ogre Bull infantry. Slaughtermaster of Flock of Doom, very standard against Greenskins. And now for the Greenskin Wa, it is going to be a Night Goblin Shaman with Vindictive Glare. I like this from Outer Region, certainly going to be very good at sniping that character. So I would imagine Hadries will probably end up hiding in the trees. And we do have the Night Goblin War Boss with his Rampage cheese. So he sneaks up on you and he basically just rampages you, which is very, very strong. Aside from that, it is going to be a Gobbo front line with Orc Boys in the secondary, a lot of Goblin Archers and Orc Air Boys with some Trolls mixed in. It is going to be just Swamp Things. Swamp Things, of course, are pretty solid. They do have that nice debuff. They cause terror themselves, making them immune to terror. Regeneration, very, very neat unit. And having a cheap terror causing unit kind of mix in your front line that heals is always good. Orc War Boys going to be called in, as I said. They're very, very standard here. And we got Goblins and Savage Orcs who are going to be looking to cruise up on the flanks. Now, the battle is on, ladies and gentlemen. Ogre Bulls being called in as the first call here. I was about to say Orc Bulls. My brain kind of just had a little bit of a glitch there. But yes, Ogre Bulls, very, very solid against standard Greenskin Troopers. Savage Orc Biggins and Orc Biggins can fight them pretty well. But aside from that, if it's like Goblins, Orc Boys, Savage Orcs, they're going to put a big hurt down. So I'm really curious to see about the shooting here of Hadries and how effective it's going to be. So the Lead Belchers are in range. They're heavily contesting the middle. They're not sitting back. Are they going to be shooting into the Archers? Is that going to be the game plan? We got Iron Guts hanging out over here with the Slaughtermaster. Oh, the Forbidden Pole play. Oh, wow, Arena style. Oh my god, look at that Lead Belcher shooting. Wowza. That was a lot. Nails the Goblins, hits the Orc Boys, and also has some collateral damage on the Orc Air Boys in the back. In the meantime, we get some flanking coming in. So it is going to be some Savage Orcs, whereas the Orc Daka, or not Orc Daka, the Ogre Daka, continues to just rip apart this army. And now these Orc Boys are going to get flattened by these Ogre Bulls. That's going to be an extremely decisive fight. Considering they already got beat up pretty badly by the shooting, that is very, very nasty. Up in the front line, we do see the little ninja stars from the old Novelar trappers peppering away. And the Ogre character is going to be retreating back. Fermented Fungi being used by Outer Region. Very good call. It's going to be rampaging those Lead Belchers potentially to their doom. Although, it kind of looks like they're just chilling there. Do they actually keep shooting in their rampage state? Whoa, I've never seen this. Okay, so apparently range units don't always get called into melee. I have not noticed that before. Even still, he would have been able to pull them back before serious damage came in. Now, Outer Region is getting some decent focus fire here. He does have his Goblin Archers and his Goblin Archers here, shooting into the Lead Belchers, so they probably need to consider moving back. On the flanks, Ogres with some decisive wins as the Novelar Trappers clean up those very tattered Savage Orcs. The Bulls here crush that formation, and now we got Boar Boy Biggins. So I would imagine Hadries, he still has his defensive lines intact pretty well here. Probably going to be rotating those Lead Belchers to start shooting at the Orc Boar Boy Biggins, I would wager. Big Flock of Doom going down. Massacre as well is going to be giving him terror. And the Novelar is now going to be, it's like, dude, there's like some weird phalanx formation. He's got like these like flanking Novelars protecting these ones with the Massacre active. It's been very, very clean so far. Now on this side, it looks like the Novelar trap effect is going down, doing a little bit of damage against these units. Some Ogre Bulls, or Iron Guts, mind you, have actually penetrated into the secondary line, crushing through the Goblins. Easily could rotate on these. And now the Orc War Boy Biggins are being called in. But if you can screen them with the crappy Novelars, that's going to be feeling pretty damn good for you. Now looking at value, Hadries is up pretty considerably. Here are the Iron Guts going to be chasing down those Goblins right here. In the meantime, we get the Orc War Boy Biggins screaming in on the side. Going to be tar-pitted by the Novelar Trappers most likely. And what the hell is this, Gorgers? Oh my god. Some wild stuff. All right, Hadries certainly going off meta here. But the Gorgers are on the way in. Ogre Bull's going to be countercharging into the Orc War Boy Biggins, and that's going to be very cost-effective considering they didn't quite get their charge off. Orc Wars want that charge bonus of 50, and Novelars are also kind of in combat with them. And it looks like the Lead Belchers are going to be shooting at the Goblin Archers, so focusing down many of the missile pieces. Now in the secondary line, we do get the Night Goblin War Boss. He is a decent little fighter. He can certainly poke down and kill some Lead Belcher units, and Gorgers being used. So Gorger's hunting down the tattered Orc Warboy Biggins, which are broken, so it looks like they're not going to be too much of a threat here. Meanwhile, up in the front, we see the Ogres stabilizing pretty well on many fronts. Ogre Bulls winning this fight against the Orc Boys. Ogre Bulls probably win this fight against these Orc Boys. The Archer units, of course, are the difference makers here for Outer Region, but there's not too many of them. The Leadbelcher Fire was able to do some decent work. But Outer Region does get some Orc Warboy Biggins engaged into the Ogre Bulls and Noblars here. And they're probably going to lose that fight just because of the Noblar support, I would wager. And in the backfield, has Hadri's been able to stabilize his missiles? He has. So we got one Leadbelcher here and one here. The third one, I'm not quite sure where it went. But man, release the Saber Tusks. A good backfield sweeper. Certainly will lose to an Orc Warboy Biggin one-on-one, but they're a little bit cheaper, obviously, at 500. And yeah, good at chasing down and doing good DPS against lightly armored Greenskin units. But both Leadbelcher units are going to be stable here. We got this one online and the other one. I think the third one did get taken out. Probably got rampaged in at one point. I'm not sure. Maybe the archers did some work. Hadri's, with a bit of an overextension, does send some Iron Guts out into the abyss. Looks like they overchased, and now they're going to be heading for the back objective. And when they get there, they should be able to crush those goblins. We'll have to see. They're very, very quick, and that's one thing that people forget about the Ogre Kingdoms. But here we got Saber Tusk packs. Nice response unit for sure. They have not the best capture weight, but they should be able to rip apart these Savage Orcs very quickly. Saber Tusks are kind of like Norscan Ice Wolves and Corn Fleshhounds in that their damage output is very respectable. We see 70 weapon strength here. It is no joke. And they're going to start nibbling, and farewell to all these goblins and orcs. That is for sure. Who let the, I suppose, cats have Saber Tusks? These are like cats, right? Not dogs, but it is what it is. Tattered Orc Warboy Biggins made an attempt on the Leadbelchers here, but the Saber Tusks were able to clean them up in their beleaguered state. And here we do see the Night Goblin War Boss getting trash canned by these swarms of Saber Tusks. He only has 25 armor, right? So he's going to be very squishy against these attempts. And Hadri's going to get his Slaughtermaster in there and definitely give him the business. Greenskins looking to be on the back foot pretty hard. They're not a faction that likes losing their lord, that's for sure. And Iron Guts coming in with their big pimp clubs. Iron Guts are probably my favorite unit on the Ogre roster. If I were to play Ogres in Tabletop and Old World, for sure, we'd just have like a million Iron Guts. They're just so, their models are so rad looking. So incredibly cool. But yeah, they fight and get swarmed. The Savage Orc Biggins will defeat them in combat, and here we get some Ogre Bulls threatening the back point. But Outer Region, a very scrappy player, is able to get his River Trolls in. The River Trolls probably will win this fight just because of the regeneration and the terror. You're going to see the Ogre Bulls break, but Gorgers and Noblars on their way over. Interesting. Gorgers, of course, are unbreakable. They've gone through some ups and downs. They did get buffed a couple patches ago, but yeah, they're probably not quite where they need to be, but well, close to being viable for sure. And having an unbreakable, sneaky unit that can rip apart infantry is, you know, niche, right? Like if somebody's defending a back objective, like a very slow faction, you could always send a Gorger back there, and it's easily going to be able to take down like a Chaos Warrior or something like that. But yeah, we'll see how they end up doing. We'll keep tabs and check them out later. I do think that this is a pretty decent game, though, for the Ogres at this point. Hadri's, though, back here getting threatened on the back objective, and if there's any annoying faction that can kind of rip back victory from the clutches of defeat, it's got to be the Greenskins. Their units are just also cost-effective. Saber Tusks do get the Massacre, which is going to give them terror. The Orc Warboy Biggins, though, are resilient enough in their leadership that they're probably going to be okay. They do have some Goblin buffering, too. And what are the Ogres going to be sending over here to make sure they don't lose that one? Currently, the points are pretty close. 393 for Hadri's and the Ogres. And Outer Region's going to be sitting at 453. Looks like a couple Ogre units going to be sprinting over there with the Slaughtermaster, and there is a Saber Tusk unit nearby as well. Ogres may be able to get there before the capture, considering how beat up these units are, and the Flock of Doom might be enough to turn the tide. It does nail this unit, does a lot of damage. Saber Tusk will lose this, but they did get pulled off the objective, which is ultimately probably what they were seeking. And it's a Gorgon time, dude. Oh, I'm so excited to see Gorgers in action. They're so cool. There's a little bit of trauma from them. And, you know, we remember the dark days where a Gorger could solo like every anti-large unit in the game. But yeah, they're still really cool. And remember when Scrag was a thing too? Scrag and Gorgers in like every single game. That was wild. But here they probably lose this fight. Savage Orc Biggins are just absolute murder hobos here, and they're going to be able to cut through those Gorgers and these guys pretty easily. The backside, couple Noblars going to go through and secure that, but Hadri's really just needs to hold on to the 2 points here, and I think he's going to probably be able to close this game out. He still has not been able to kill that Night Goblin War Boss. He's an extra sneaky get. A couple Leadbelchers do get dove on by Forest Goblin Spider Riders. Nice engagement there by Outer Region. A couple waves of Archers on the way up, and the Gorgers are still fighting, but certainly going to lose that fight. They're fighting pretty elite anti-large infantry back there, so the value does get brought pretty close, and Hadri's could be not on the ropes, but he could be in a situation where his opponent might find a way to come back, although we do have some Leadbelchers back here who probably will reroute this direction, get that nice shooting online, and if the Night Goblin War Boss does inevitably get killed here, I do think that would probably give the old Chunguses some good old tools. So Night Goblin War Boss is scurrying away, yes. Slaughtermaster Beast is going to be cruising up and looking to maybe help finish off that unit. A couple Orc Warboy Biggins move in, but they're okay against infantry. They do deceivingly well, but in this case, I mean, Noblars are just so numerous and certainly not their ideal target. So the Noblars will probably be able to target them for a second. And now the Lead Belchers are being used to screen the side objectives. So a couple of rallying Greenskin units here are going to be targeted by the Lead Belchers. This one is back on line 2. We're going to see what they end up shooting at. A couple tattered goblins ripping some nice shots here. Might be able to break them. They're at 9 leadership, only 900 HP, so certainly not doing great. And these Lead Belchers with the point-blank shots gotta feel pretty good. The Chungus is ripping some good ones, as the Greenskin was now going to be surging forward with the Orc Warboy Biggins. Might be able to take them down. Lead Belchers are at 11 models. Saber Tusks and Iron Guts coming from the flank. Iron Guts going to be absolute linebackers to get rid of. And the little goblin that could, man, what a little troll. 700 HP, and he manages to get away, which is huge for the Greenskins. If he had died, I was about to say the game is probably just Hadri's to win. But with him coming back and living, that means the Greenskins aren't going to be suffering a leadership penalty, which is really brutal against them. Ogres do have Massacre, they can cause terror. So there's a couple things that obviously, you know, they don't want to be negative 16 leadership against a terror-causing faction. They're a faction that has a couple terror-causing units. Lead Belchers just picking off whatever they can, shooting at the goblins here. Ogre Bulls will clean those out. Objective 1 is pretty secure. The Chungus has just got to find a way to hold on to Objective 2 and weather the second wave of Greenskin Orc Warboy Biggins spam, right? Very nasty. Flock of Doom going down is going to be hitting the Orc Air Boys and these Orc Boys here, and also those Orc Warboy Biggins. Not bad. Flock of Doom, a good spell. It's really, really good. Slaughtermaster probably said to get about 1k value. Yeah, 1800 actually. Wow, a lot better than I expected. Saber Tusks being sacrificed, diving some tattered archers back here, and they do eventually break them, but they're now going to probably get ripped apart. Hadri's does have an opportunity to try and escape with them. We'll have to see. Meanwhile, here, the Saber Tusk pack is going to be duking it out with the goblins and probably beats these guys too. So the back objective is actually being threatened by Hadri's too. And remember, Hadri's does have a little bit of healing on his roster between the Gorgers and also the Butcher ability, which I believe I did see used on an Iron Gut earlier. He's going to be able to heal a little bit more efficiently. Backpoint, though, this is a nice catch here by Outer Region. Outer Region does pull ahead on value a little bit as the Orc War Boys do hunt down the Biggins. And yeah, that's a tough loss. That's an expensive unit. I wonder if the Ogre Bulls are going to come help. Looks like Saber Tusks might be able to stabilize this, actually. So he was aware of that and is going to be trying to salvage it. For Outer Region, we got Savage Orc Biggins and Orc Boys being called in. Orc Warboy Biggins in the back, and the back point being threatened, though. Saber Tusk packs ripping apart the chaff units as they usually do. So this is going to be forcing probably a disproportionate response from the Greenskins. They're going to have to send like a fresh unit over here to deal with these like Haggard units, which is going to take pressure off the middle. And the little goblin does manage to squeak away. Decisive victory for the Ogres in the middle point. Lead Belchers do get stabilized, showing the Ogres' high HP pool. You know, it means something. They're able to really take it like champs. A lot of unsummons need to be done here. Ogre was really, really good at reinforcing the battlefield with their 54 movement speed, 5 capture weight units. And the Orc Warboy Biggins going to be trying to get a cheese on the Lord. Probably not going to work out, though. They're getting Lead Belched really hard. And the dogs are kind of like a bit of a low-centered unit, so I find that Lead Belchers can kind of shoot units that they're fighting, which is a nice little synergy there. We're going to see in a second. So Lead Belcher should be ripping a second wave of volleys as some of these Orc Warboy Biggins with their dreaded 5 leadership coming back in. Yeah, see, they're still shooting a little bit. And that probably will lead to the doom of the Orc Warboy Biggins. But nice flank right there. Ogre Bull sitting comfortably on the side point. Greenskins swarming up on the middle. Not a triple cap situation quite yet. Game is still actually very, very close. And the Ogres, yeah, those Iron Guts are carrying hard, though. Butcher going down on them, that is a fat heal. Butcher is one of the stronger heals in the game. It's very, very good. And it is an army ability for the Ogres. They'll be able to hold against these Savage Orc Biggins for some time because of their armor. Their 100 armor will help them a bit there for sure. But the Savage Orcs would eventually win a one-on-one grind against that unit. Their bonus is large and just their damage output's pretty insane. But here we do see the Slaughtermaster. He didn't get sniped this game. Held on pretty well. Lead Belchers are back online in the back. Once again, Palpatine has returned, and they're doing some excellent damage against the advancing units. Yeah, and I just think Ogres probably close this one out. The fact that the Slaughtermaster is still active, Greenskin Magic hasn't been super impactful. You know, he's been trying to snipe, but I think the caster may have even gotten routed at some point. We probably see Outer Region, you know, lose this fight here and then tap out from there. On the backside, we get more Iron Guts on the way up. A good tool for sure. Back point here is controlled by Greenskin, so they're able to kind of chill out on that one. And this is a great play too. Using the Ogre Army ability, Dismember, like at a points game, every moment you can slow your opponent down from getting to the objectives is very good. So the Orc Warboy Biggins probably going to be slowed down. So yeah, it's going to take them a hot minute to get up there. In the meantime, they can get crossfired by the Lead Belchers. And I just simply think that this game is over. A lot of shooting, a lot of Ogre Bulls on the way in. Ogre Bulls just do a ton of damage against lightly armored troopers, and those Savage Orcs do give it right back to them. These kind of numbers, it's going to be tough. Oh, okay, a little fermented fungi on the Lord here. He could get buzzsawed by the Savage Orcs. There are some Ogres nearby helping him out. We do see some minor Lead Belcher presence. We'll see. Uh-oh, he's rampaging after the Night Goblin War Boss. What a Chad, and he does manage to almost break his leadership. Negative 24, and the Lord is actually shattered, so no more Goblin Lord. And that Slaughtermaster, he just took that one like a champ, dude. And get right after that. It almost makes me think if this matchup, Skarsnik might be better just because he's a more sustainable fighter. Yes, you don't have the ambush appeal of the Night Goblin War Boss, but Skarsnik does feel like he could be pretty good in that situation. Warboy Biggins trying it once again, but Iron Gut's probably going to be able to defeat them if they get the proper charge on them. Depends on the circumstances. We'll have to see. On the back, we get Ogre Bulls versus the Spider Riders with a reinforcing unit of Iron Guts coming over here. So I think that Hadri's probably just closes it out here. We see the Savage Orc Biggins starting to go down. I think it's probably safe to do a little bit of fast forwarding here. The Greenskins are basically just doing the dreaded Reaganomics where they trickle in units, but it's just not going to work out. Iron Guts showing their mettle. Backpoint, attempted ninja going down here from outer region. But the points are, at this point, it would be a triple cap situation. So if the Ogres just held on to the middle, and obviously they'll be able to recap this extremely quickly. Out of region, does he even flip it? Oh, wow, he doesn't even get it. Brutal. Not that it would have mattered, because they have such a strong stranglehold on the middle, but that was really fun. You know, Ogres have kind of become a bit of a forgotten faction ever since the nerfs, but they're still good. And you can see Ogres, from what I've seen, this is like the third or fourth replay I've watched in this matchup, and the Ogres seem to be pretty good in it, honestly winning most of them. So it's cool to see that they still have a really good place in the meta as like a counter against one of the more oppressive factions in the Greenskins. This was from the grand finals of season 5, so this was an extremely high level game between two of our best players. So it certainly is, you know, it's not like it's a mismatch of skill. So it's telling is what I'm saying. 900, 900, 570, but they still did good work. I think Iron Guts at 1200 value. Iron Chads are just so good. I love the Gorger pick. Even though it didn't do super well, it sent a message to his opponent that he was there. He was there to play for keeps. And yeah, nothing terribly avant-garde for the Greenskins. Just, you know, simple mouth-breathing rampage, like Orc Boy Biggins fan. Yeah, it's good against Ogres. I mean, I think maybe, yeah, would you go Azag? No. Maybe a Skarsnik pick, though, could be good. I really do think he would be able to make more of a difference on the objectives. But yeah, that's it. GG, well played. See you guys around. And that is going to be it for today. The Great Maw was hungry, but no longer. Cheers.